Will it make a good movie or television show? Find out if these books make the cut right now. All right, hello everybody. We're here to talk about, actually these books are from last week. These are actually 2 weeks ago. I'm going to talk about last week's books as well, but I'm just getting settled into my new home in Atlanta. I did drive across the country from Los Angeles, so this will be the first real video I do from the house. I do have most of the boxes unpacked. As you can see, I have some of my hot toys up behind me. So yeah, let's get into it. So, and thank you all for all your well wishes and watching me drive across the country and laughing the whole way. All right, so I only have one DC book for that week, and that is because there's still that night terrors thing going on that nobody is reading. It was probably the worst decision that DC probably could have made while they're doing the Dawn of DC, just cutting it off to do this really bad crossover series. So the only one I bought was Ravager. And it's she's, of course, trapped in her nightmare, just like everybody else in all of DC at this point. And she's fighting the Murder Man, which is Deathstroke, but in zombie form. And she also is fighting herself in zombie form, who is obviously trying to impress her father, which has always been her thing, is that she's always been trying to impress her father. So, yeah, these things don't lock into anything. After these 2 months are over, nobody's going to care about night terrors. It's not going to impact the DC universe at all. This is only a 2-issue thing. So it can't make a good movie or television show because it doesn't connect to anything. So there's no longer story to it. There's no episodics to it. This is number 2, and it ends at number 2. And there's no complete story held within. So it's just Rose fighting these nightmare versions and demon versions, and finally at the end she wakes up, and then there's a patch of blood on the ground that kind of moves around that shows this kind of demon thing. The only thing I kind of liked in here was the design for the demon. So he has these horns that come out of his eyes. It's kind of cool. But that's it. There's really nothing to talk about this book with Rose and Ravager. That's it. So that would be a no. That would be go in the no pile. Okay, then we have Ultimate Invasion by Hicks. Everybody was really looking forward to this series, and I'm dropping it. It's like $6, $7 a book or whatever else, and there's nothing here. I mean, there's literally no substance to this whatsoever. I don't even know what's going on. So we have an evil version of Mr. Fantastic, and they're all after him, and because he escaped in the last issue, and he gets involved with Howard Stark, and that's been all of the leaders of all these things are meeting up together. And I think he's trying to take them out or something to that effect. And, Hulk is a monk. I don't even know what's going on here. And then all of a sudden, all of the Avengers from all the different universes suddenly show up. I don't even know what's going on. And so there's a whole big battle that goes on for absolutely no reason. And then Howard, so he captured Howard, and I guess he captured all of the multiversal Avengers. And then he kills them all. Okay. So he has like 100 people in there, and he kills them all. And he's telling Howard about his plan, and he only has half a head. And Howard's like, well, how are you still alive? And he's like, well, I just moved part of my brain around. Whatever. So will it make a good movie? No. No. This is far too confusing. It's way too convoluted. If I can't track it by reading it several times, I can't imagine that anybody will track it watching it in a film. That would be in the no pile. Okay, so now we're going to Moon Knight. So, as everybody knows, Moon Knight was already a television show on Disney Plus, and it was not good. I did like the wife, but the multiple personality thing just got very, very confusing, and it was also very boring. It was very, very boring at times, and there were times when Moon Knight took a whole lot of damage. I mean, he had like 12 spears in him and he was walking around. I don't know. But this particular issue, so this, I always know if a book is good. So I haven't read these in a couple of weeks, right? And, I do a little refresher before I do this video. So I'll go thumb through it and, say, oh yeah, I remember that now. This is one of the books I did not need a refresher on. I remembered it from 2 weeks ago. Of course, did I remember every scene? No, but I remembered the gist of it and particular scenes of it. And so this is about Hunter's Moon. So this was Jed MacKay's new character that he created for his run. And it's the other fist of Khonshu. And Hunter's Moon has a little problem because the last time he was brought back to life, all the other Moon Knights from all the past renditions throughout time are inside of him. So instead of having multiple personalities like Mark Spector, he has all of these personalities that are kind of pushing at him continuously. And so he's at we start and end with his relationship of starting a relationship with a psychiatrist. And she's trying to understand, what his issues are. And of course, it's hard to do when you're talking to somebody that's kind of supernatural. So she knows about Mark already and stuff like that. And he's heading up the Morlocks down below. So yeah, here's a picture of, him, Hunter's Moon. So there's really no Moon Knight in here. So Hunter's Moon, and you can see all the Moon Knights around him and all their different symbols. So there's something going down on, in the underworld, and, he has a battle with this dude. And he gets his butt kicked to a certain degree. So there's some cool artwork in here. So that's another Moon Knight that's, I don't know if it's possessing him, but sharing his body with. And then, he kills the dude. So, or at least defeats him. I don't know if he killed him or not, but it seemed like he killed him. But yeah, I really like this. This Moon Knight series, I mean, I read the trade of the first portion. I thought it was okay. But it's gotten a little better, and I do like this Hunter Moon guy. And we'll see what they do with it. But I like where it went. I like where it's going. And this would have made a better TV show than what they did. So I'm going to say if you do a second season of New Moon Knight and bring in Hunter's Moon, because originally they didn't start out as friends. So I think that's a yes. Do a series on that. Oh, and then we have... God, Star Wars has gone so downhill. Marvel just needs to give it away. Needs to give it back to Dark Horse because they're just crapping out on this thing, man. I mean, Star Wars is crapped out in general. I mean, there's barely anything left of the IP anymore. I guess there's some video games and board games left, but anything visual is taking a dump. So now we're into this Dark Droids thing, and I thought, the Dark Droid thing was going to be okay because we had 000 and BT whatever, the murder droids. And I thought that's where they were going to go with this. But they didn't. This is about a AI system that's hooking into droids and taking control of them. And the whole beginning portion is this thing taking control of the droids on a Star Destroyer. And because, again, this takes place between Empire and Jedi, which you can't do. You cannot add hundreds of issues in between Empire and Jedi, because that means that, unless you're doing the Empire side, I guess, and doing some stuff on that, but you're not, because Han is stuck in carbonite. And they would not leave Han stuck in carbonite for months and months and months and months. They just wouldn't do it. So already I don't like the path that they took. But then they have this AI taking control and destroying every person on the Star Destroyer. So they murder everyone. And do I care? No. And it talks about, how droids are treated and all this stuff. So he opens up like the airlock, and all of the Empire stormtroopers and officers, and then they're cutting them up and all this stuff. I don't know. And because the medical droid goes nuts. And here's what this thing looks like. It's a little. Oops, wrong side. It's a little disc with legs, that's running around and causing a whole bunch of havoc. And then there's this whole thing about droids that have created their own freedom and created their own, society. And I could care less, because it doesn't fit in the Star Wars at all. It just doesn't fit. And then there's this, beeper droid that literally leaps out of the thing and goes into, well, obviously nobody saw it, goes into the rebel thing, and the AI is on that, and now it affects 3PO. So 3PO has purple eyes now. So, ask me if I care. I don't care at all. I think this is total bull. Even having Luke have a yellow lightsaber through this whole thing, because he hasn't created the green one yet, which means he loses the yellow one and then creates a green one. Goodbye. No. In fact, the Darth Vader just showed up with the Dark Droids too, and I am not looking forward to reading that. So then we have Pure Evil. You kind of want to say Pure Evil, because that's the way they kind of did it, but it says Pure Evil because there's evil cats everywhere, although we don't actually see them in the book until the very end. So this is about a mother and daughter who obviously like tattoos and piercings together. So the mother has basically taken the daughter and done a Rapunzel type of situation, where she is, stuck in the house, but there's a boy and a father that lives above them, and they trade messages back and forth through the window, and that's how they get each other's phone numbers, and blah, blah, blah. So then, they start texting, and they start hanging out, and the mother, of course, is not aware of this to the most part, and the dad comes down and he tries to make nice with the mom, and she's just not having any of it. So the girl and the boy go on like a date and leave the mom note saying, well, we're taking a ride, nope, don't worry about it, we'll be back. And the mother freaks out and holds the dad well, first of all, she breaks into the apartment. She breaks into the apartment and holds him at gunpoint, which is pretty funny. So he's all having a nice little nappy, and she wakes up and puts a stranglehold on him, and where's my daughter kind of thing. I thought it was a gun, but it's not yet. So he says, no, they went out. So she follows her downstairs, and she's all bitching up a storm, blah, 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 down the stairs. And he goes into the apartment where she just walked into, and there's a whole bunch of guns on the wall. And then, a la The Matrix, these sunglass wearing agents show up, and then there's a whole fight scene. Oh, there's the gunpoint one too. It was the agent though. And then we find out that the girl has, powers, and that the boyfriend probably isn't in good shape right now. So that's where the little dancing purple cats come from. So I have no idea where this is going. I am interested in it. Per Evil, and the artwork is gorgeous. I mean, you really can't get any better artwork than what's in here. But yeah, I'm going to keep going with it. So I'm going to put this in the maybe column because I have no idea if they're actually going to pull off any kind of a good story here. But there's a makings of something different. So I'm going to put that in the maybe pile. Okay. So, before I even do that, let me go and I push into the next one. So, Sacrificers. Who wrote this again? This is written by Rick Remender. So Rick Remender did this. It's a totally different. So this is one of the other ones where I did not need to go back and look at it, even though I read it 2 weeks ago. I didn't need to see. I know every scene in this book, every scene, and that's because it was very hard hitting. So this is about these bird people. I really wish it was actual people instead of bird people. But yeah, so it's about bird people. So the bird people are one race of this world that must give up a portion, one of their family members, and I obviously I don't know how long before each sacrifice has to take place, because the kid is a teenager. So, and the kid has, I guess, spent his entire life, I guess, because he was born knowing he was going to be a sacrifice. So maybe every 13 years or whatever, they take a sacrifice. Maybe it's every 10. I don't know. They don't say. But either way, he was committed to being a sacrifice when he grew up, as he grew up. And they keep him in the barn. He's not allowed to hang out with the rest of the family. They barely feed him. He got curious and lonely and went to the window to see what his family was doing. His dad caught him doing it and beat the living shit out of him with the back of a belt, to the point where he made the kid bleed. Not a good dad. Not a good dad. So, and the whole reason is because he didn't want the family to get attached to the kid. So he kept the kid at a distance the entire time, or made sure that the kid was at a distance the entire time. And I guess I can see that, but it's really inhumane. But again, we're watching birds. So that's why if it was even something that was more half human looking, I think it would have had even more of an impact, maybe just for me. I don't know how everybody else feels. But then we also see the gods, right? So we see the god who's visiting with his mistress. He's like the sun god. How do I know he's a sun god? Because he actually says, I'm going to go turn on the sun right now. And he sits in his chair and he opens up the sun. So he has a illegitimate daughter who, he keeps telling her to have patience, blah, blah, blah. But she's not hearing any of it. She wants to, sell her bones and get, daddy's approval. So that's how that's working. I don't quite understand that side yet, how that fits in. And then the guys come in to collect the sacrifices, and the dad kind of sticks up for the son, and I guess he tries. He doesn't try very hard. He tries. He says, I didn't know, we don't have anything this season. He says season. So I don't know how long a season is. So we don't have anything this season, and then the guy immediately calls around and says, "Go get him." I'm not playing. Go get him. And the dad doesn't try anymore. He's like, one time out. And he wants to tell the son that he loves him, but he can't even do that. He is the worst dad ever. And the daughter comes in and says she loves him and hugs him and before he leaves. And that's the extent of it. And it's very hard hitting, but again, we're talking about birds. So, here's that very grueling scene of him getting beat with the belt. So it's the daughter comes in and kisses him and gives him food, even though he's beat to crap. Which I think is very cute. So, and then we have this whole thing, about the sun gods, and of course they have fire hair and all this other stuff. So, and then there's the father, the main god, the main sun god, and he goes to turn the sun on. So he turns the sun on, and see, it's very obvious that's what he does. And then on top of that, the next page, there's literally a cock-a-doodle-doo caused by the sun coming up. So, I think that's a good transition. It's very cinematic. And then here's the guys that show up to take the sacrifice. So, and again, I remember every scene of it. And, and this is where they basically go and take him away. And that's the extent of it. That's the extent of the story at this point. Here's the last page. So we'd have no idea what's going to happen to the kid at this point. So this is a definite yes at this point. I have no idea if he's going to be able to stick the landing or even how the second act comes up, because I think there's still another part of the first act because we have to set up the situation of what the kid is in now before we can put him into hot water. So he's already in hot water, but I think it's going to get worse. So, Sacrificers, here's the problem. Unless you made it an animated cartoon, you cannot do this with birds. Nobody's going to identify with birds. So unless it's animated. So they'd have to turn it. They'd have to change it into humans or some kind of a humanoid form, even if they made them blue. Because the amount of makeup and stuff like that they would have to do wouldn't make it possible. So yes, but it would have to change to a certain degree. Okay, so that's in the yes at this point. Not even the maybe. That's in the yes. So let's talk about James Bond. This one got a little more convoluted than the others, than the last ones. So he doesn't know who to trust. He brought Felix in. He had another agent that was telling him that the agent he was working with was bad and all this other stuff. He doesn't know who to trust. So he's on the phone with some other people, and he's like, well, are you sure you can trust Felix? Are you sure you can trust these people? Blah, blah, blah. And then he sews up the other agent's arm, and, she's like, well, come to bed with me. And he's like, yeah, no. And so after he gets on the phone with the other person, he doesn't know who to trust. I think he's trying to I'll keep my enemies closer kind of thing. And he ends up sleeping with her anyway. That's the end of the issue. So it's more of a setup about the fact that he doesn't know who to trust. And, this Meriden corporation or whatever. It's got some good action in it. But overall, this particular issue didn't really do for me like the other ones did with the car chase and stuff like that. He's got some cool stuff where he trips the guy, takes the gun apart, and then of course stabs him with it. We've seen that before, where we take out the back of the gun and stab him with the neck and stuff like that. So here's him patching up the other agent, and she gives him the come screw me eyes down the bottom. Oh, oops, that's that. and stuff like that. And that's where he says, well, do you think I should trust Felix? And then he goes off the phone, and then he goes into her bedroom. And that's the end of that. So I still, and we got kind of sexy at the end there. But I really like the series. I just wish this particular issue had more story in it. There isn't really. It doesn't really push the story at all, except for introducing this new character. So I'm going to stick that in the yes for right now. But if it was a piece of a movie, you'd be kind of like, let's just move it on, guys. Let's move it on. And that's how I kind of felt. So we have Nightclub. This is the end of Nightclub. So this is the story about the vampires, about the kids who are vampires. He bites his friends, and they become superhero vampires. And they wear, masks from like Mexican wrestling. And so then they end up beating these other vampires that are like motorcycle gang type of vampires. And they say, well, you go kill your family, because if you don't, we're going to kill your family and make you watch. And then we're going to kill you. None of those things sound good. None of them. So these guys these kids or teenagers have to figure out what to do, how to fight these guys, and they decide that they're going to blow up their house. They figure if they blow up their house, then they won't have any shelter for the sunlight, and they'll kill the sunlight, or they'll get killed by the sunlight, I should say. So that's what they plan. And of course, everything goes awry, and they can't detonate on time, and because they get caught, and one of them gets caught in the house. The girl gets. That's the other problem. I need like a little recap in the beginning to give me everybody's name. I don't know any of their names, so I'm just going to call them leader, girl, and fat guy. So the leader ends up fighting the other leader of the other gang, and he's losing badly. The girl gets caught in the house and goes into the basement, where she finds the matriarch, who's going to eat her. And the fat guy's outside trying to hit the bomb, and to no avail. So the leader ends up running into somebody else's house to try to get asylum, because he gets invited in by the kids because they recognize him, or his mask at least, and the head of the vampire clan can't get in. However, there's a child out there, and he's going to say, look, I'm going to rip this child apart if you don't come out here and fight me. And meanwhile, the girl is, about to get eaten. And that's when the bomb goes off. Luckily, she's in the basement, and the roof gets torn off. And the pregnant vampire, she's like pregnant forever, I guess. She bursts out into flames, and just in time, the matriarch gets burst into flames. And of course, they have their mask on. They have, gear on, so they're still basically in shade. So they're not, privy to the sun. They're not exposed, so they're not burning up. So that's the end of that. And then he comes in. The leader breaks the helmet of the other leader, and he burns up, and he tries to get to Shade, and he jumps on him, and of course he takes his mask off, so they're both burning up. He's like, you're going to kill us both. He's like, yes, I am. We're both going to die right now. And I thought that was kind of cool. And in the last moment, the leader of the motorcycle gang, dies, and his friends pull him into the woods, even though he's basically nothing but skeleton at this point. And she allows him to bite her, and he regenerates based on that. See, I don't like that rule for vampire, and I'm not using that for mine. In fact, I forgot to put my stuff out. I gotta do that. But yeah, I don't like that. I like it more where it was Interview with a Vampire, where the vampires can't drink dead blood. I like that better than vampires feeding on other vampires, because as soon as the blood's in them, it would deteriorate, right? Because that's what's keeping them alive, is the energy from the blood, so their blood wouldn't be pure anymore. So that was my problem with this. But anyway, so he regenerates, and they kiss, and the fat guy gets jealous, and he decides he's going to build his own gang. So the fat guy is going to become the villain at the end because he is jealous. But we got some good action here. That's him getting his butt kicked by the other dude. He gets invited in. That's, him saying, okay, we're going to snap the little girls. That's a very small girl, by the way. She's about the size of his whole helmet. And here's the matriarch and the girl in the basement. And so I remembered most of this, too. And this is the fat guy finally blowing the bomb up. Going, oh my God, it finally went off! Damn it, kid! And this is him breaking the guy's helmet, and then him running on fire, and then he jumps on top of him, and he gets his mask pulled off, and they're both burning up. And this is on the bottom here, is where she's letting him bite him. And they kiss, and he gets all pissed off, and that's when he decides. That's right. They go to the cops, and they leave a thing for the cops where, if you guys need any help, we're the Nightclub, and that's where he says, "I want to join my gang. I'm gonna make a new gang because I'm jealous." So yeah, this has been good. The story is not big enough, though. It's kind of just a microcosm kind of story. It's not very epic. The end is kind of cool, but I think it's more of a made-for-TV movie. And as you know, Mark Millar has a contract with Netflix. So he has his whole Miller universe that he's doing. He's one to kick ass and stuff like that. So he's got it. He's already got and Kingsman. So he's already got his whole thing going on. So I'm going to say yes for that, because chances are you probably see it. And then you can say Frank was right. All right, I'm down to my last two. I know we're going long, but that's because I haven't done any of this in a long time. So anyway, Hunt, Kill, Repeat. I know everybody hates this one, but I really like it. This is about the Greek god version of Kill Bill. So this is about Artemis. Artemis takes on a human husband and has a child with that husband. And she didn't have the son or the child yet. But as she's about to, or she's very, very pregnant, Zeus says, no, I did not approve this. And they kill the husband, and he rips the baby out of her. So from this point on, she decides that she's going to get revenge on all the gods. And at the last one, she was looking for Hermes' wife, who Apollo strung up and gutted him. He's still alive, but it was like his guts were hanging out. And we find out that Hermes' wife was Medusa. So this whole issue is about Hermes and Medusa's wedding, and how Artemis was there, and how she was friends with Medusa, and blah, blah, blah. And then we see the wedding night where she goes into the wedding chamber, meaning Medusa, and is about to have sex with her husband. And little does she know that it's actually, I think it's Zeus in disguise. And then, of course, he says, look, your wife's just slept with me. And Hermes like, no. Of course, he should know at this point what his dad was like, but he doesn't know who to trust or who is telling the truth. And Zeus takes her away and I guess turns her into Medusa, like the evil-looking thing. And Artemis needs her for exactly what I don't quite understand. But then one of the gods follows her into Medusa's chamber, and they're kind of fighting in Medusa's chamber. Medusa hasn't really showed up yet, but they know she's there. And she has the bird cut off part of the eyelid of the other guy. So as soon as she does show up, she can't you can't close his eyes. So she turns him to stone, and then she tries to here's part of the wedding. Your artwork's really nice too. So it's really grandiose, and he's having a nice time. They're about to have sex, kind of thing, and then while they're having sex, he changes, and she hears a scream, and then Army shows up. I don't know why he wasn't in the same room with her to begin with, and and there's Zeus basically dragging her down the hall, kind of thing. So, and then we switch over to Artemis going into let me see if she's got the blindfold on, and this is where she has the thing cut his eye up, or his eyelid, and she turns to stone. I think that's pretty cool. And then she breaks it, and then Hephaestus is trying to protect Hermes, and so Medusa looks like this skull-looking thing. I thought that was kind of neat too. Although I do like still my favorite version of Medusa is from Clash of the Titans, the original. And she's like, "Kill me," blah blah blah. And this was the good part at the end here. So we find out that the sun is still alive. So when he ripped the sun from the womb, Zeus raised him. So, ouch. So we'll see what happens now. I don't know if it's getting concluded, but I really like this because I like Greek mythology. So I'm going to say yes for this one too. I think it's been a constant yes for me anyway. And then the last one, I'd say kind of the best for last. Fire and Ice by Dynamite. So this is an old 70s kind of Conan type of thing. The guy on top with the axe is named Darkwolf. This is another one where, at least at the end here, it tells everybody's name. Tigra and Dala, and this is very Game of Thrones, okay? So we have set up for all these different factions, right? So we start off with a guy telling the story of their world, right? And there's a faction in the middle. And when I say in the middle, it's because fire's on one side, ice is on the other in physical geography. So we have a fire kingdom and an ice kingdom, which we really haven't seen yet. And it's about these, students being, trying to do hunts for the first time, and they're trying to, get their bones and become man and blah, blah, blah. And their mentor is telling them their history of fire and ice on both sides and the fact that they were stuck in the middle. And immediately the whole camp gets killed. The whole camp is killed. Except for one guy that escapes. And this wizardess or a sorceress and her daughter save him. And then we switch over to like a royal family, and there's two brothers, and one brother poisons the other brother. I mean, in the same page we're introduced and everyone's already dead. So we're in like a 30-page, that 20-something page issue, and there's killing everywhere. Introduction, death. I'm like, wow. So that's why I say very, Game of Thrones, because, what happened in Game of Thrones, we're introduced to the dad, and the dad's immediately killed. So this is how that is. This is through the whole thing. And then the other sorceress, the evil sorceress, has this like gorilla type looking son or whatever else, who has who got speared in the side because they captured. That's where he got saved. With one of the boys gets saved, and then we have Darkwolf, show up at the end. So, and the artwork on this is really good too. It's very old school, very kind of Conan-ish. But let me show you this. So yeah, this is to see when their whole camp gets killed. So I mean, the guy's telling the story, and he immediately has a spear go through his mouth. Pretty amazing. So yeah, so here's this is like the only time we see something ice driven is the top there, and that's Dark Wolf on top there, and the boy gets captured, and these two girls. That's why I'm saying very 70s, because they're very scantily clad, and they're in like bikinis, which is very old Conan type of thing. And then here's the two brothers, chatting away, drinking. Oh, that's right. It is the same page. Look. It's on the bottom page. He's dead. Pretty amazing. And then we have this other splash page. There you go. Of these girls coming in to save him with their big old tiger. And there's the guy with the spear in him. And yeah. And then they realize they're in over their head, and they try to escape. And that's when the Dark Claw or whatever, Dark Wolf shows up to save the day. So, and I know that Dynamite just launched a board game with that, and I'm really taking a look at possibly getting that, even though I just spent thousands of dollars moving across the country. I shouldn't be buying anything, especially with no job. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's all I got. That is the last one. And I'm going to say, obviously you already know my answer for this one. This is definite yes. This would make a great television show. If you want to make another Game of Thrones, it's right here, man. This guy is doing a great job. Willingham, really good. Really good. So that's yes. So let's kind of go through them real quick. I know I just popped way off the thing there because I throw them on the floor. So let's go with the yeses. Sacrificers, yes. Per Evil, I'm going to say yes for now until I know what's going on. Fire and Ice, yes, definitely. Hunt, Kill, Repeat, yes, I like this one, even though other people don't. Nightclub, yes, even though I think it needs to be a little more epic. 007, overall, yes, but not a great issue. Moon Knight would make a great series if they would stop getting boring with it. Then we go with my nose. Dark Droids, piece of crap. Ultimate Invasion, piece of crap. And Ravager doesn't go anywhere. But overall, we had some good cinematic stuff this week. So, yeah. All right, so remember to like and subscribe. I am trying to get monetized. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, give me all the well wishes as I went across the country. I do not have Lords of LA out. The only thing I have is my book for Tales of Ravenor. I'll put the link below if you guys want to pick up a copy of that. And Lords of LA. I am going to be launching that one soon. I know I keep saying that, but now that I'm actually here, I'll be able to get some work done. I still need to get the backer kit completed, which I want to plan to do this week for the audiobook for Destiny Aurora. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you guys are collecting any of these. Let me know if you guys think these would make good films or TV shows, or if I'm completely wrong. And I will see you guys on the next one. I'm going to do like videos back to back now to try to get caught up, because today was Wednesday, it's comic book day. So my new releases, I'm going to do a thing on that, and I'm also probably going to do the ones for this past week as well. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.